Today we are going to go over payment schedules. We'll talk about what they are, why someone would use them, and how you can set them up. So what is a payment schedule? A payment schedule allows you to control when an invoice is sent or when a payment is ran for any invoice created from a subscription. So why would you want to use a payment schedule? Well, by default, if there's a payment method assigned to a subscription, ChargeOver will attempt a payment with that payment method right when the invoice is created. But let's say you'd actually like ChargeOver to create the invoice, send the invoice to the customer right away, and then delay the payment for 5 days. This would be possible by setting up a payment schedule and assigning it to that subscription. Now, let's go over how you'd set them up. So from the dashboard, you'd hit the gear icon on the top right. Now on the left, underneath your settings, there's a new option that says Payment Schedules. Go ahead and click on the Configure Default Settings. Now, if this is your first time clicking in, this first option will be highlighted by default because this is the default option in everyone's account. And this is to send and pay the invoices on the day they were created. The next option here is to send the invoice on the day it was created and then take a payment on the due date. And then there's an option to send the invoice on the day it was created, then take a payment in X days. So if you want to delay payments, let's say 5 days, you click on this and you'd be able to set that up. And lastly, there's an option to create and use a custom payment schedule. Let's go ahead and click on that and hit next. So the first option, let's go over here, is we'll set up an example where we run a payment, but right away. So we create the invoice, run a payment immediately when the invoice is created, but we're not going to send any invoice. So to do this, we would set this at 100%. And you could do a dollar amount too, but 100% just covers every invoice that could be created here. And when do I want to do this? I'm going to do it right away. So I'm going to put now. So basically how it will work is right when the invoice is created, we're going to take the payment. And then if I don't add another line here, this is going to create the invoice, run the payment immediately when the invoice is created, and we're not going to send a payment receipt. Another option here would be, let's say that I want to, when the invoice is created, instead of run a payment, I just want to send the invoice. So I don't want to run a payment at all. You could do that and you would just select send an invoice here and save it. And that would be the setting that you could then assign to subscriptions. Now, let's say we want to do another option. Let's say is we want to send the invoice the day after it's created and then run a payment 5 days later. So to do this, let's go ahead and adjust this. And this will just be +1 days. And then we'd add another line. And this is going to be the payment line. So the first one is sending the invoice. The second one is when we are going to run the payment. And we'll do +5 days. Take a payment. And then we just need to name this schedule. So I'm going to name it Delay Payment 5 days. And save it. Cool. Now this payment schedule is all set up and ready to use. So let's go ahead and go to this customer that I already have opened here. And we'll go to subscriptions and we will create a new subscription for them. And we will use, let's see here. Let's find a product that we can use. This base tier product of $1,800. And you'll see here that on the right, there is now a new option that is payment schedules. So I set this as my default, the one that we just created where it delays the payment 5 days, but any other payment schedule I have in my account here, I would be able to select. So if you had multiple different schedules set up that you wanted to use for different various use cases, you could do that and go to those specific subscriptions that you want to have a different schedule. But for this one, we do the delay payment 5 days. I already have a payment method on file, so I can select that too. Go ahead and save the subscription. And as always, once you create the subscription, you can select your invoice date. So I'm going to go ahead and set this for the 1st of August, and we'll save it. And this is all configured. So how this will work now is on the 1st of August, we create this invoice for $1,800. Then on the 2nd of August, we go ahead and send the invoice to the customer. And then 5 days after that invoice is created, we would go ahead and run a payment with this payment method on file for the full $1,800 and send it the payment receipt to the customer. Now, since I already have this configured here. If we actually go back to the payment schedules here and click on the payment schedules tab, this will show me all the payment schedules that I have set up in my account. And this delay payment 5 days right here. If we go back, you'll see that it's now set where this is actually in use by one subscription. So what's cool about this is you can see how many of your payment schedules are being used, or what payment schedules are being used, and how many times each payment schedule is being used. So if I click on this, it'll show me the subscription ID right here with a link to that specific subscription ID. So you'll see that it's subscription 323. And actually up here, you'll see in the other tab I had opened that it's 323. But if we click on it, it'll bring you right to that specific subscription. One last thing I just want to touch on here, if we go back to this, is there a few other things here that I just wanted to make sure I went over. So the payment schedule does not control when the invoice is created. That is still happening on the subscription level. The payment schedule is just controlling when the invoice is sent and when a payment is ran. Next, if you are using like the amounts field, so let's say we had a bunch of, let's say, scheduled payments in here where I had 5 payments of $500 each, and I signed that to a subscription that's only invoicing for $1,000, we would never run a payment for more than what the total amount of the invoice adds up to. So if the payment schedule adds up to more than the invoice amount, we would only bill up to that invoice amount. So we're not going to be overcharging people. And last, when setting a date, all dates are based on the date the invoice is actually created. So this when to bill section right here, all of these are based around the date that the invoice is being created. So if it's created on the 1st and we want to take a payment 5 days later, that would be 5 days after the 1st that we run that payment. If you are curious about the dates too, you can hit this little question mark right here, and this will bring you to our help center. And there's a bunch of different options here and documentation on how the dates work. So today we went over the payment schedules and what they are, some popular use cases, and how you'd set them up. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email, jump in our live chat, give us a call. We'd be happy to help.